5 minutes past 10, our talkback lawyer David Whiting is here to help you with free legal advice. 1300 222 774 if you'd like some help. 1300 222 774 for free legal advice from David Whiting. And David, good morning to you.
Good morning, John.
First of all, Sir Ninian Stephen, former Governor-General, High Court Judge, Victorian Supreme Court Judge.
But only for a few weeks, John. 2 years he lasted. He's a Victorian Supreme Court judge and they pushed him upstairs at the age of 47.
47, was
47, he? Actually very young.
Yeah.
Born in 1923, moved in 1980, so it makes it 57. Well, whatever it was, he was very young to have the job in the High Court. And then when he finished on the High Court, just kept working.
Sadly, and not just working, international court, peacekeeping in Ireland and trying to negotiate with parties in Ireland, in Bangladesh and all sorts of places around the world, in South Africa. Just an extraordinary contribution. And I don't know if you ever had the pleasure of meeting him, but a more humble and down-to-earth human being, despite extraordinary accomplishments, you would struggle to meet.
I mean, said he didn't like the law was one of the comments reported in the weekend. But he was, how do you feel about leaving the High Court to come to the Governor-General? Answer is, didn't really like the law. But then, of course, to show how much he was across party lines, his position as Governor-General was extended so that he was the Governor-General through the bicentenary celebrations, whereas normally you would expect that there would be another appointment. No.
His son-in-law came in and paid tribute yesterday. One of his sons-in-law is the President of the Court of Appeal here in Victoria, Chris Maxwell.
Okay.
So he came in and paid a generous tribute yesterday. Speaking of the High Court, Barnaby Joyce thinks we need to have a referendum to deal with the provisions that ruled him ineligible to be a Member of Parliament. But he wants at the same time to have a referendum to introduce a republic and deal with Indigenous recognition all at the same time.
Wow, okay.
And he's coming from a Conservative National Party electorate, New England, and a Conservative National Party constituency, but he thinks it's worth
Do you think we have a republic? We'll change the name of New England?
Doing all of that at once. Well, I mean, there were some great gags. The One Nation senator who was rubbed out.
Roberts?
Malcolm Roberts. He's actually from Two Nations.
Okay.
Did you catch that one?
Yes, no, I missed that one, yeah.
There's a whole lot of these things.
I also wonder whether he could have had Indian citizenship if he'd wanted it.
Possibly.
Yes.
Anyway, what do you make of it all?
But the bit that amazed me was that everyone in my office downloaded it and read it. Now, I can't say that there are many High Court judgments that one reads willingly, but, one of the problems with High Court judgments is that you often get a variety of opinions, and you need to read them all to distill the essence of what you conclude from it. But here they are. They all signed up and said, we all think, which I think is a tribute to the Chief Justice.
And there should be more of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Although 30 years ago, I ran a case where we won at first instance. We lost 3-0 on the Court of Appeal and we won 3-2 on the High Court. So we lost on the numbers, we won on the right judges. So that was, that's the appeal process working well. Closely
contested thing. And I noticed in the business page just today, just finally before we get to either homework or today's callers, 1300 222 774 to join in if you've got a question for David. I noticed that Slater and Gordon's shareholders are today dealing, I think it's the AGM today, and pretty much the small shareholders are going to get nothing.
Does that mean their shares get cancelled, or it just means that there will be so many other shares issued that in fact their shares will be worthless?
The rescue plan, I'm just reading here, the recapitalisation comes after 2 horror years, billions of dollars down the tube. Small shareholders whose total value of their shares is so small now that it's really not worth the paperwork, are basically going to lose their value entirely. So they'll lose their investment. So they've got a nice offset.
They may have a share certificate to put on the wall. You don't even get them anymore. You now get holding statements.
So they'll now get something they can offset some capital gains against when they do their next tax return.
Hopefully they've got capital gains on their other investments.
Well, if there's something there, then that's the only use they'll get out of them.
Yeah, that's
extraordinary. So there ends an incredible chapter in local legal profession.
And I apologise to Philip from Ocean Grove, for whom I had a question last week that I haven't. He had a question in relation to Legal Services Commission and can I have a dip at them and then have a keep going? The answer is, I haven't done my homework, John.
Haven't you?
No.
Oh, you're going to the naughty road.
Okay, and you're not going to hear an answer for a couple of weeks because we've got the races next week.
Next week, apparently, there are horses running around, so you get
I
the
get to
day,
sleep in. Thank
you
you
get
very
the day
much.
off.
Yep.
Yes. I won't be here either.
Oh, okay. You'll be out at the track, will you?
Oh, in my finest.
Okay, all right. Just as long as you behave.
Yeah,
Some people
that's
out there
not
don't
likely.
behave.
Anything else?
No, that's it, John.
All right, let's get to callers. John in Sorrento, good morning to you.
Good morning, David. Good morning, John.
John.
I had a parking problem a couple of weeks ago. I pulled up to let my wife off, and she got out of the car, and the parking officer took a photo of my car. She was very ill at the time. It was a no parking zone. He said, "You're up for a $159 fine," which I didn't mind.
Yep.
I'll pay it. And then as I went over to say, "Look, could you explain it?" I had a camera in my hand to take a photo of the sign, and then he said, "Don't you take my photo," quite loudly at me. And I just walked away going, this guy has threatened me. He's just taken a photo of my car, but I'm not allowed to take a photo even in the no parking zone. And he said, "Don't you take a photo of me?" I mean, what rights do I have as a senior citizen to take action against this parking officer? And he said, "Oh, I've been a senior policeman boasting about it."
Yes. So I don't know that you have any more rights as a senior citizen, John, than you would as a junior citizen or a middle-aged citizen, right? They're all the same.
Yeah.
There are, I wouldn't have thought there would have been an objection to you taking a picture of the parking officer so that you could properly identify him in the event that you wanted to take the matter further, would be my argument.
Yep.
You could invite him to take a picture of you at the same time.
Yeah.
Although I would say that that's not particularly relevant because the parking restriction fines belong to the owner, to the registered
Yep.
user of the vehicle, not the owner of the vehicle.
Yep.
Although having recently getting a parking fine, the parking ticket didn't say quite the right thing. They said the responsibility of the owner, but it's not actually. So
But I
you'd be
just wanna-
at liberty to take a picture of the sign.
Yep.
I would have thought that you would have been at liberty to take a picture of the parking officer, and the parking officer would have been at liberty to take a picture of you.
Yeah. And,
I wouldn't have
the
put it on Instagram, but, you know.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
But the thing is, I just want to warn anyone else, just to let someone out of your car in a no parking, it's a $170 fine. I couldn't believe it.
Sorry. That's the problem that we all make, and I'm guilty of it too. The S with a stroke through it is no standing. The
Yep.
P with a stroke through it is no parking. There are any number of people who choose to stop in a no stopping zone,
Yep.
because there are lots of them, and there are very few no parking zones. So you could complain about the behaviour to the manager of bylaws at Mornington Peninsula or wherever it was, but that's about all you can do.
Okay,
All right.
thank you very much, David.
All right.
Thanks,
John.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Good on you, and have fun in Sorrento without getting into trouble. Will in Ringwood, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello, Wing. Will, how can we help you?
A couple of years ago, I did a period of time in prison.
Yep.
And while there, I have written about my experiences, and I'm in a position now where I'm wanting to publish that as a book. So I've got a proceeds of crime question, which is, can I legally be paid for writing this book?
Sorry, are you going to be paid to write the book, or are you hoping to get some royalties from the proceeds of the sale of the book?
I haven't got to the looking at a publishing deal yet, but I'm about to.
Yeah.
So
Most publishers won't pay you to write the book, but they may give you a percentage of the sale price as a royalty payment, if indeed any copies sell at all.
If any copies, that's right. If anybody wants to read it, but then if I do get any money from it, what's my legal obligation with that money? I guess.
Will, I'm conscious of the Guantanamo Bay detainees.
Yes.
And there were arguments about proceeds of crime
And
in
the
circumstances.
Corby
Well, look, if you look at the Guantanamo Bay issue, if the story dealt with pre-Guantanamo Bay, then there could be an argument that there was a crime and that we're actually dealing with in a sense, getting a benefit from the crime. If it's within prison, I don't see it as an issue, but can I take that on homework? And we'll look at whether there's either state or federal legislation that deals with it.
Yeah, I'd be grateful.
All right, thank you, Will.
Don't think anything stopped Chopper from making a
that's right.
pretty
No,
healthy
legislation
living.
came in after that.
Or
Okay.
Chappelle, though. There's been stuff in the media about Chappelle.
But she hasn't written a book.
No, but her appearance.
But she wanted to sell stories
to
to television and the like. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
have you spoken to publishers at all, Will? Have you shown the manuscript to anyone?
Yes, I have. I'm meeting with a publisher in a couple of weeks to put a deal together, and this was an issue that we needed to try and clarify before then.
Oh, then I'll try and have an answer for you, and I hope you...
I would have thought the publishers are the ones more likely to be able to make that inquiry. I wouldn't have thought you need to worry too much about it, Will.
We're both doing homework.
Okay.
All right. Well, so I'm part of yours. I hope they're paying somebody more than they're paying me, John.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Sorry, just to clarify one other thing, Will. You're worried about breaking the law now?
Well,
I think the question is
I don't want to do it
John.
again, John.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I made that mistake once.
Couldn't help it, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Look forward to seeing you in the studio when you're promoting it somewhere down the track.
Done.
Thank you, John.
All
Thanks,
right.
Will.
Peter in Gisborne, morning to you, Peter.
Morning.
Peter.
I've got a judgment from VCAT, but the judge said to me, "Best of luck getting collecting the money."
Yes.
But I've been trying to get the person's home address to serve him with the court documents. The Form 67A and B.
So this is a document that you've got a judgment.
Yes.
And was it a registered business name? Was it?
I actually sued the actual plumber himself.
Yes.
Because I didn't know his business name, because the plumber was recommended by a company.
All right, so you hired him by that name. No idea where he lives?
No, that's what I'm trying to get.
How much money's involved on the judgment, Peter?
At $2,400.
Okay, so you don't want to spend a lot of money. You don't want to spend another $1,000 chasing $2,000,
I'm on a pension.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
the best I can do. There are three possible places, one of which is illegal. All right. The
Hang on,
first one.
Do you want to write a book while you're in? No.
What happens, Peter, is that people like me get access to a land data database, which is an index of landowners in Victoria. But one of the requirements when I sign up for access to the land data database is that I won't use it for the purpose of tracking people.
What does tracking people mean?
Well, so for example, I'm doing a probate and I don't know what. You might do an index search to see whether they own any real estate that someone hasn't told you about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what's wrong with using it, given that the information's there, to help a client?
Because the land data deed says if in order for me to get access to the deed, I've got to promise not to use it for somebody like Peter's cause. Right? So there was a time when you could access it for any purpose at all.
I would have thought so.
And now you can't. You can't use the index
something
system.
to do with privacy laws,
yes.
is it?
Yeah. Right. Now, the second way you can do it, Peter, is if you've got the person's full name, you can do what's called a related person search on the ASIC database. So if you know his first and last name, you can do, they'll give you you pay for everything, but you can get an index of everybody with that name.
If they're a company director?
If they're a company director or a shareholder in a company that isn't a public company. And lots of people, like the people that you're dealing with, will fit into that category.
So if it's a proprietary limited company, Peter, with Pty Ltd off the end of it?
So if you had nothing to do and you wanted to know where I lived, you could go and do an ASIC search on David Whiting. There will be quite a few of them. You then work out what the age range is likely to be, and you can do some searches that way. The third way is that you can go into the electoral office and you can search on the electoral office database. There are restrictions on what you can use it for. But and most of the electoral offices that I've gone to don't actually quite tell you what you can and can't use it for.
I thought the electoral roll was a public record.
Well, that's not quite right. It is a public record, but a public record that not everybody's allowed to look at for any purpose they want. It's in a sense, it's this privacy deal. We've got this database that's a public record, but not for you to look at.
Okay.
Right, okay? But you could go in and you could check on that.
All right, Peter?
Does that help you?
Actually, I went to ASIC.
Yes.
I got his business address.
Yeah. Yes.
According to ASIC.
Yep.
And I sent a registered mail there.
Yes.
And they refused to accept it.
Rightio. Have you driven past that address? Is it a residential address?
No.
It's
not residential.
It's a company about accountants or something like that, is it?
It's a small room in a sort of an office area.
Okay, so he's got like an office inside a complex. You could talk to the managing agent.
I've tried that as well.
Okay.
And they won't give me his home address.
Have you done just a straight, simple Google search, Peter?
No.
Well, I'd recommend it. We once had someone crash into the car who it turned out was not insured, and the damage was considerable, but not enough for us to bother claiming on our insurance. So we took proceedings against this particular individual and recovered a judgment when he didn't defend, and then tried to recover the amount owing to us. Couldn't find an address. They had moved several times. It turned out we found out that he was closely involved with a local sporting club, and we were able to effect service there. So you can just do a little bit of sniffing around and snooping just using what's available on the internet as a public document.
If I go into his business address and whoever's in there, give it to them, would that be?
But you've already got a judgment.
Yes.
So you could simply leave it there. That would be telling them about the judgment. It's now a question of moving it to the magistrate's court, but you've got to find out where he lives so you can actually have a go at the
assets.
Yes. What the other thing that you might consider is that if he's a registered plumber, the Victorian Building Authority may keep professional addresses.
And that may be a way, but whether, again, privacy rules mean they don't do them. Yeah, but it is a difficulty, and you can quickly spend as much as you're chasing. Peter, good luck.
Thank you. It seems speak cat's a toothless tiger.
No, it works very well lots of times.
But not all the time.
But it's a blunt instrument.
All righty. June in Rosebud, good morning to you, June.
Good morning, John and David. My query is about, we've bought a unit in a complex of 16. We moved in Christmas. We have a lot on the back of our unit. There's the council land, it's a park, and then there's open council land. There's an enormous amount of water laying at the back of the fence, which is seeping into our property, which we don't have a very deep backyard. We have a paved area and then double doors into the house, and we've got rising damp coming in, and it's destroying our wooden boards.
June, I would be talking to the Ombudsman's office.
Yeah, I've spoken to the builders because the complex is only
new. Yes.
Yeah, and it's not just me. There's about 7 or 8 other units in the complex are having a similar problem. Their floors are. We've gone to the sorry, I'm a bit nervous. We've gone to the builders, and they keep saying they're working on it. They're going to do something. 5 months we've been at this, and none of us can seem to get past
June, the shortest point, I'd go and talk to your councillor. You will have you would have a series of ward councillors for your council, which is presumably Mornington Peninsula.
That's right.
You go and talk to your councillors and say, I've got this problem with council land. And then, because they can move a lot faster than anybody else can.
Right, but are they responsible for the water coming? Because we walked along the back fence, and you can't actually walk near the fence because you can see the water.
I'm concerned, June, that there might be something leaking.
No, it's all the way down. They actually put a digger in there the other week, and we went and had a look afterwards. They'd skived off a lot of the overgrown part, and the water was just running down where they'd skived off the overgrowth.
So do you think there might be a spring or something?
I'm not sure what it is. But
well, I would be, if you want the council to deal with it, you've got to put some pressure on council, and the easiest way to do that is to talk to your council.
Yeah, but do I just ring up the council?
You look at the council's website. Yeah. They will tell you who their councillors are for your ward, and they will give you phone numbers and email addresses.
Right, okay then. So can you answer my question? The question I really want to know is, are they responsible if the water's coming off of their land into ours?
They're responsible for water that escapes.
Yes, right? That's what I mean.
No, they don't. But they're not responsible for water that crosses. Does that make sense?
It's seepage, is what I would call it.
Well, seepage has to come from somewhere, and it's seeping up.
So you've got to work out where it's originating.
You actually got to look at the source. So, for example, if I live next door to you and the place next door to me flooded, and it came across my property to your property, that meets the definition of leaving my property for yours. But it's not my water. It's someone else's. All right. So the council isn't automatically responsible. But given that it's a council reserve, I would be going to them in the first instance and say, you've got water leaving your property.
We feel that the builders are also responsible because obviously this was all there before they built the whole complex. So therefore, the drainage issue is they've already had to come and drain
their
the
obligation,
side of our property.
June, their obligation is to drain their water. Their obligation's not to drain someone else's water. I mean, you've got a complaint against the builder because I'd really like to know how they coped with the seepage that you're now coping with, or it may not have existed at the time they did the construction. Start with the councillors.
Good luck with that, June. I hope that helps. David in Colac. Good morning. You're through to David.
Good morning.
David to David.
My sister and I are acting as enduring medical power of attorney for our father.
Yes.
He's gone into a nursing home to be funded by the sale of his house. That's all going ahead, but our solicitors want us to hand over the title document about a week before we see our money. Is that normal? It doesn't seem safe to me.
Can I say, or my first comment is that the medical treatment power of attorney you've got for your father doesn't enable you to deal with his property. So you must have a different kind of power of attorney as well.
We've got the whole thing.
You got the whole shooting match, all right? It's usual. I would normally, if I was acting on the sale or the sale, I would normally ask you for the title a few days beforehand. Where's settlement taking place?
Thursday week.
No, that's when. Where? I mean, if it was,
where?
If the settlement was in Colac, you could go.
No, it's in Geelong. I can go.
So you could, if you're that concerned, then I would come along and say you don't have a great deal of trust in your lawyer. That's okay. You can say you'll attend settlement and you'll pick up your dad's cheque. But what are you going to do with your dad's cheque?
Well, it goes into his bank account, and then my sister has
power of attorney to take it out.
Yes, and then pay the nursing home. You see, that was my question. Do I have a choice in the matter? Can it jeopardise the sale if I wait?
You do have a choice. It's extraordinarily rare for a client to come to a settlement, but you can. Although we're now moving, by this time next year, probably 70 or 80% of settlements in Victoria will be entirely electronic.
Yeah.
So no one will go to anything. Every lawyer and conveyancer will sit in their office and watch the clock tick over. Settlements at 12. Well, at 1 minute past 12, you receive an email saying it's happened, and the money's already in your account.
Right.
So you would normally simply give the lawyer the title. The lawyer would give you the money. If the lawyer runs off with your dad's money, there is Fidelity Fund insurance. So you are insured.
Yeah. I read the entire document, the enduring power of attorney document.
Yes.
And it says I have to take very seriously the care of my father's interests.
Yes.
This is me taking my job seriously.
David, I have no difficulty. Tell the lawyer you'd like to go to settlement, and then if you wanted to take it the next level, find out from the nursing home how much they require on the day of settlement, and have a cheque drawn for that amount. So you can simply take it to the nursing home on the day of settlement. Otherwise, the money will go in your bank account tomorrow, and the day after, 3 or 4 days later, you'll get the money because it needs to clear the lawyer's bank account.
Oh, that much we can cope with.
Okay.
It's just that I wasn't happy about leaving someone with a sack full of money for a week and wondering if we were going to get ours. That was all.
You'll get yours.
You should look after your father's affairs in the same way as you would look after your own.
Exactly what I'm
It's your
doing.
obligation, alrighty?
Okay, then tell the lawyer you want to go to settlement and you'll hand over the title there.
Good on you, David, and thank you. Text messages, very, very inventive ways for our caller with the VCAT.
Peter from Gisborne, who I can't find.
Having trouble finding the plumber to serve documents on him to collect. Get a friend
to ask for a quote.
To call the plumber for a quote.
Yep.
And be there when he turns up.
Yep. And take a note of his vehicle registration number or follow him home.
You can effect service on him then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. That's one way to do it. I quite like that, actually. Graham in Gippsland, good morning to you.
Morning.
Hi, Graham.
I'm ringing up about rural land that is landlocked.
Yes.
It has an unused road going to it with a licence to a neighbour.
Yep.
Dalwip won't cancel the licence, and they say they will only cancel it with council's request.
The process is the council says we don't require the road, and then who is it now? It used to be
Dalwood.
Department of Employment and a whole series of other things. They'll now enter into a unused road licence. Yes, so that's what's happened.
Yes.
Well, when did they create the when did the land become landlocked?
The land. I'm trying to purchase the land, and it's owned by a neighbour.
Yes.
And if I purchase off him, the only access is through the unused road.
That he has as well?
He has a portion of it, yes.
Does it appear on your title that's being proposed to be your title at all?
Part of it does, but the rest of it out to the highway is to another person.
Well, what use would the land be unless you can get access to it?
That's exactly his point. I
so,
want to buy the land and I want access.
Why would you go ahead unless you can get access?
That's my point. I'm trying to get access, and I want to cancel the licence so I can have access.
Then I would talk to the council.
Have you actually paid a deposit or signed up a contract?
Yes.
Okay.
And how many acres is it?
50.
Right, so you can't build on it.
No.
No, but you want to, then you need to talk to council about claiming back the land.
Council won't cancel the licences without a 173 agreement.
Then talk to the Ombudsman. And what's the 173 agreement they want you to sign?
Suggesting that I build a fully constructed road that goes to the only property piece of land.
How much is your deposit that you've already paid, Graham?
10,000.
That's $100,000 worth of land, and they want you to spend $100,000 on a road, I guess, Graham?
Yes.
Yeah. I would be talking to the Ombudsman. I say that it's a road, and that you ought to be able to navigate it if it's necessary for access to your property. But
sometimes that's why land is being sold cheap, because it comes with these embedded problems.
But embedded problems are not always impossible problems.
No, they're
John.
not. But other people have probably tried and failed, so they've decided they'll offload it and let the next person try and sort it out. The
other thing is, have you considered seeking a transfer of the unused road licences from the people who've got them?
Dalwood won't transfer the licences into my name.
Is this the council, is it?
No, this is Department of Land, Water, Environment.
And why won't they transfer them into your name?
Because they say that I'm not an adjacent property owner.
But you'll become an adjacent property owner when you buy the land.
Correct.
So what you need to go back to them and say is, will you agree to transfer them to me when I become the registered proprietor of this land?
Okay, and if that doesn't work, then go to the Ombudsman.
Talk to the Ombudsman about the council's approach to say, well, because if the council wants to be fair income, then what they ought to do is permanently close the roads, not sort of leave them in this funny limbo state.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Which Ombudsman?
The Victorian State Ombudsman. It's a Victorian land issue.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good luck with that, Graham, and thank you indeed for your call, for all your calls, David. I'll give you next Tuesday off.
You're very kind.
Yes. Do you go to the GGs?
We were having that discussion at dinner last night. We're skipping the derby and we're going to the Cup.
You are going?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because you've seen the forecast.
No.
Oh, apparently it's going to be fine.
Oh, thank
and
you.
A pleasant day.
Oh, I'm very pleased.
You got a tip?
No, don't go is the tip.
And if you do, keep yourself tidy. Enjoy it.
Thank you, John.
I'll catch up with you a fortnight from now. Our talkback lawyer, David Whiting, helping you with free legal advice.